Good morning. All right, I want to thank you that are here. We have a lot of people traveling and trying to get in the rest of the summer. So thank you for coming. We're continuing on with our 12 attributes, or our 12 faculties of the one power. And I can't keep stressing that enough, that everybody is calling it the 12 powers. And then at the same time saying there's only one power. I've heard that so many times in the 30 years or so of being in metaphysical New Thought groups, that we confess there's only one power. So we have one power, but that one power is so dimensional that we cannot hold all of it at the same time in a 3D body structure. So therefore, the wisdom of the divine was to put it into 12 different faculties. So we are going through the faculties of the powers. Now, the majority of these powers we have learned that are not being used on an everyday 3D life world has been there subject to the more unconscious part of ourselves. So what we're doing is we're calling out of the unconscious into the conscious these 12 attributes. And we are on the 10th, 11th faculty today, which, wow, I could just talk about for 6 months after reading Fillmore's book on it. He was very, very deep on this particular subject to do with the power of elimination, he calls it. We just call it the art of letting go. I want to say right off that we had a correction some years ago in Soma Energetics in one of the workshops that was kind of interesting to me, but I was challenged with the word release. And the person said, why do we want to release anything? And the reason was, as you know, R-E means again. Restore, redeem, anything starts with the prefix R-E is again. Now, if I live in an apartment or a house and I have leased it for a year and I go to release it, am I not taking up the lease again for another year that I had the year before? So I know this is a part of the language that we use, and I'm going to use it. You know, there's a lot of words that are hard to not use because they're so a part of our language and they're so imprinted neurologically in our brain that we use it. Even like God. I mean, God is a term that a lot of people's going to use. I just challenged where they're coming from when they say that. I want to know, what do you mean? What do you mean? What is your definition of that? But we use it, I use it, because it's a way of communication. A line from A Course in Miracles is really helpful to me, that it says, the body is useful in communication until real communication is. What that means is at some point we're going to communicate from a different higher level than just language as we know it. We're going to maybe do it through more telepathy, or we're just going to have a knowing because we're going to share the universal mind. When we're in universal mind, we're all getting the same thought from the divine together at the same time. And that's a wonderful picture to me to think of, is coming to that place as a group of people that we're all hearing divine mind at the same moment, at the same time, and having a collective aha moment together as a body of people. So I will use the word. I prefer other words that would be more appropriate in my state of like letting go. Letting go is okay to me. So, you know, if I use the word release, I'm saying letting go. I'm not talking about, again, going back and releasing the same thing I just got out of. So I know that's kind of a play on words, but I want you to know that we're living in such a time that I call fine-tuning. And even our words are getting ready to go through a fine-tuning because of the power of words, right? We know, and we've talked here about the power of words. The power of life and death is in the tongue. I mean, there's so many scriptures and so many teachings out there that talk about taking responsibility for the words that we speak and the thoughts that we think, because they hold a creative element to them. So the Holy Spirit, I call it, is adjusting our language a little bit. And we need to be willing to work with that and to do that. So the power is of elimination, the art of letting go. Unfortunately, the other words for that would be relinquish, eliminate, and renunciation. It's interesting, they all start with the R-E thing again. And the spiritual positive side of that to me is that none of these things are a one-time deal, that you always have access to it again and again and again and again. Does that make sense to you? I mean, we're just not automatically going to land into the new norm. We're going to kind of come in and out. Sometimes you're there at a higher state. Sometimes you're not. Life can easily drag you down back into 3D very easily. So it's wonderful that if I do, I can again choose again. That's what the Course says, choose again, choose again. So this is the good part of the again, is that we have access to it at any time to again and again do it until it stabilizes itself as the new norm, and we don't have to do that any longer. In the book of Revelations, I believe it is, says that we shall move in and we shall move out. We shall move in and we shall move out. Then it says, we shall move in and never come out. So right now we're still visiting 5D data. Getting the right group, the right conversation with somebody, you can go into 5D mode and you can talk 5D concepts and whatever. And then within a few minutes, something can happen and you're right back to the old language again. So we're coming in and out right now. But there is a place in which we will establish the new norm of 5D principle into our life, so it'll be normal. Right now, if somebody has some intuitive experience, it's almost supernatural. If somebody gets a healing, it's almost supernatural. If somebody gets some spiritual revelation, it's almost supernatural. But it shouldn't be supernatural. That's why the Course in Miracles says that these things are not magic. The great miracle is the shift in perception. It is not in being able to manipulate things into the way that we want them. I hope that makes sense to you, because I think people are still struggling with this pullback of ego 3D idea of it's broken, I'm going to fix it. I think we all want to be fixers. And a great name for that is called healers. Healers want to be fixers. And I'm looking for a different level of healers. And I didn't get it until I ran into a Robert Frost quote that says, we are not just healers, we are awakeners. And from then on, I began to call our teachers in Soma awakeners. That what they were doing with clients is awakening their potential. What they're doing is awakening aspects of themselves that are whole. They're awakening aspects of themselves that are already healthy and have life. They're not trying to get it because they don't have it. They have it, but they need to call it out. And that brings us back to this class. how Jesus called out the disciples. He called out John. He called out Andrew. He called out Bartholomew. He called them out because they wouldn't have shown up unless he called them out. And I've taught you here over and over that the nature of spirit is not aggressive. It's not the old conversion system that religion uses to convert you to their belief and to their doctrine. That the Holy Spirit's nature is what? Can anybody tell me? I thought you just might want to know. I just love that. In other words, I'm always available to you. The voice of Spirit is always available to you, but you've got to call me out. Now, for a biblical verse, which I can't help but to throw in there, it says, draw nigh to God, and God will draw nigh to you. So there is something on our part to do here. We can't stay passive and say, oh, Lord, heal me. Oh, Lord, make me prosperous. Oh, God, do this. No, you've got to enter into the co-creative aspect of co-creating what it is you're trying to bring forth and manifest with you. Okay? So that means we do that through right thinking, right intention, right vision, and all these things that we're using are tools for that so that we can make sure that we can keep ourselves in tune or aligned with the process of our spiritual evolution that we are into right now. So that's all about the word release. Charles Fillmore, let me start with him. We must learn to let go, to give up, to make room for things that we have prayed for and desired. Now, I heard this with Randall Sunday, and I wondered because I thought Spirit was coming through with some messages that I don't know we get. Because we hear somebody get up and just read a bunch of words, and we just kind of get in the flow of the words. But sometimes in those words is a Spirit message. You follow me? And that's your participation. Your participation is the ability to know when Spirit is speaking directly through the words. And I don't remember all that he said. I don't remember all that he read, but I do remember him talking about making room, making space. You can't put herbal tea. I started to say coffee. You can't put a liquid into a cup that's already filled with liquid. I know oftentimes Tim is the worst thing to leave his coffee cup. He just drinks a few drinks and then he just sets it around anywhere in the house. And it seems to be my job to go and empty all that cold, awful coffee and wash it. And then I put it back up where he makes new coffee, so it's empty. So the song that we sing once in a while here, fill my cup, Lord, I lift it up, Lord. Do you know that's a very Zen teaching calls it the empty cup meditation. That's why coming into these services, especially Sunday, I know you get tired of me saying it, but those who meditate are emptying their cup. If you come for the meditation, you have a chance for 20 minutes to empty your cup from all the stuff of the week so that when you enter into the service, you are saying, dear God, I'm an empty cup, fill me. But if you come in with the stagnancy of the issues of the week or the situations of life that has been on your mind a lot, then you're already full. You're full of it. And that brings us to what this is talking about from Fillmore, and he got very graphic in his book. I'll tell you, this chapter blew me away of anything that I've read of his. on the power of elimination. We must learn, and I want you to catch, we must learn. These are not just actions or reactions. These are systems or methods to be learned. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Somebody can tell you, you need to do this, you need to do that. You need to not think and meditation. You need, just try it. No, if you don't learn how to do it, if you don't learn a technique and a way to do it, then it's not going to happen. We must learn to let go. We must learn to give up. Don't think it's easy to give up things that you're familiar with. Even some things you don't even want in your life. It's hard to give up because you're so familiar and so adapted to it that it's become somewhere a part of your identity. This is called renunciation or elimination. Sacrifice, it may even seem to some people. There's just some things that you are going to be called to give up that is going to feel uncomfortable. Say that again. There are some things that you're going to be called to let go of that is going to be uncomfortable, because we as human beings in our evolutionary journey, one thing that we have mastered is the art of adapting. It's part of the evolution story of humanity. In fact, if we had not learned this early, we would not have survived as a species. It's only those who adapted to change. If there has been five extinctions on this planet, as they're saying now, and we're living in the sixth, the reason that we got to the sixth was because of those that knew how to go with the change that was going on during those times of, are you with me? Of those times. I told you, I just saw this wonderful thing about how that when the dinosaurs and all of that, 75 million years ago, whatever it was, whenever it happened, everything, most 90-some% of all the species was wiped out, except termites. Because termites had dug so deeply into the ground that they were not affected by the radiation of the impact that hit the earth and destroyed 90-some% of the species of the earth. So from that, they evolved because they had wings and they had certain aspects in that level that they could evolve themselves out of the earth and back from being in the earth to being on the earth. I mean, it's quite a story. If you really watch the story, the true story of evolution, it's a mighty story of our survival. So survival has been the name of the game for a long time. Now we must move from survival to thrive.
Yes.
That's the next step that 5D is going to bring us. So you're not going to just survive what's going on in the world today to survive it. You're going to survive it to thrive. And that's what the teacher meant when he said, I come to give you life and more abundantly.
Yes.
More abundantly. So Philmore says we must learn to let go. Give up and make room for the things we have prayed for and desired. You can pray all you want to, but if there's no room for the prayer to manifest, you will not see it happen in your life. And that's ammunition to the ego. Then the ego says, well, you didn't pray right. You didn't pray good enough. You didn't pray hard enough. Something's wrong with you. You're not worthy of it. Because that's what the ego does, is try to put it off that it's our fault. We didn't do it right. We didn't do the wrong thing. And that can go all the way to, where was God when I was praying? I thought God was going to answer my prayers. If I ask in his name, it's supposed to be done. All that kind of stuff goes on in us that continuously, now get this, shuts down our elimination system. Fillmore literally uses the idea of the physical elimination system and constipation as a metaphysical metaphor of why we are not bringing forth manifestation in our life. And he gets pretty graphic and pretty into something else. This is called renunciation, elimination, sacrifice. It may even seem to some people. It is simply the giving up and casting away of old thoughts that put us where we are and putting in their place new ideas that promise to improve our condition. The definition is a formal rejection, correction of something. I find that the thing that people least want to deal with, especially in places like HeartLight and any teaching centers, there's a difference in a preaching minister's center and a teaching center. Everything we do here, even if I'm up here looking like I'm preaching and dancing and carrying on, I'm teaching. I'm always teaching. Everything comes out of my mouth is in the form of teaching. What people don't want to do, that I'm finding out, is they just don't want correction. Let me tell you why most churches, buildings, religious institutions have groups of people that come to them, is because they get comfortable hearing the same thing over and over that they already believe. I'm telling you, as long as you stay in the dogma and the doctrine of the church, as long as you stay into what I've already been taught and whatever I've downloaded that I believe, then I'm fine. But if you're going to challenge me in any way to have a self-thought, because people don't like self-thinking or self-knowledge. They want someone to think for them. And I've told you that the percentage, I don't have it in front of me, but the percentage of all the thoughts a person will think in one lifetime, I think it's 89% have already been thought. That means there's very little original thinking going on. We're just repeating the same words in a lifetime. I mean, we've built a vocabulary that is comfortable to us. And if we get a word outside that vocabulary, either two things are going to happen. We submit to learn what it means and broaden our consciousness of words, or we are intimidated, like, you think I'm stupid. Ego. He just uses two big words for me. I don't know what it's talking about. Did you go try to find out? Did you research it? Do you have a notepad right here to write it down and say, okay, I'm going to check this out later? That's your responsibility, not mine. I don't have the 100% responsibility of this class at all. This is a relationship. This is a 50-50. I'll sit here and give you things, but it's up to you what you want to validate as a belief in you. You must make what you put in your belief self-knowledge, not the knowledge of another person. Now, that doesn't mean you don't listen to people like myself and others. It doesn't mean you don't read books. It Doesn't mean you don't listen to people's videos. That's fine. But all you're looking for out there is something that resonates up into your consciousness, your own innate intelligence. Right? And that's the most powerful part of you, is what you have qualified for yourself. Well, I like what he said. I think I'm going to believe that. That sounded really good to me. I think I'm going to believe that. Well, then that's what David believed. That's what the book said. That's what Ever said. So therefore, what is the ego's agenda? Keep source outside yourself. Keep the book your source. Keep the teacher the source. Keep the video the source. Keep whatever the source. And then we do not have the ability of what, if you remember in the classes of aging process, what was his name? Thank you, Davis. Told us that only self-knowledge holds the vibration to change cellular replication. If you don't change the belief frequency, you will not change how cells replicate. Cells replicate to match belief systems. The disciple is Thaddeus. So let's look at Thaddeus just a minute here if I can find him. So we're calling in Thaddeus as the 11th discipline. Thaddeus carries forth the work of elimination of error thoughts from the mind and waste food from the body. Now, I'm telling you why this one is so important and that I want to just throw out there with you. When you get into activating Thaddeus, which represents letting go and elimination, this is getting close to where you live. This is getting close to the cellular level. What I'm getting from Spirit on this is the more that you work with this faculty of power, the more you will start changing your diet. You will change your diet from the density of foods that plug you up. Now, I want you to take this on two levels, natural and spiritual. You all know there's certain density foods that gives us a little bit of an issue. And we start reaching for the bottle of whatever, or the pill, or if you're like me, you go get a colonic. Let's just talk frank here. I thought if Fillmore can do it, I can do it. If he can be this graphic, I can be this graphic too. I know that eating too much of something that's of density, too much red meat, too much that, and I'm not a vegetarian. I do eat meat. I try to eat good meat. But one of the first things that I need to work on that I don't do is I don't chew my food good enough. Digestion begins in the mouth. I don't know why I'm throwing this out, but I'll give you two things. Don't drink liquid when you eat.
Right.
No water, no liquid, because that's when you start diminishing your digestion in the mouth by watering it down. Drink before, drink a little bit afterwards, but don't drink during your food. But again, that's just what I've always done. That's what I do. I need something to wash it down.
Actually, there's a rule of thumb about that you don't drink anything 30 minutes before or an hour after.
Okay, I've heard that. I've heard 2 hours, but 2 hours seems a little much. But now, I know some of you are not comfortable with this, but I'm just telling you, this is not a dietary law that we're laying down here. What we're talking about is a shift in your nature. Your 5D nature is going to desire and attract different things than it did in your 3D nature. Your 3D nature mostly is in the 3 bottom chakras. Why do you think it's called 3D there? Because it embraces your first 3 chakras. And your root chakra food would be like density of meat. Now, I'm not telling you meat's wrong for you. I'm not going to do that. That's not my thing. I'm not going to put myself in that place either. I'm not going to put myself in my place. But I'm saying to you, I've noticed on a subtle level some changes going on in my dietary choices that I'm not working at. And when that happens, it doesn't feel like I'm going against the grain, I'm going with the grain.
Yeah, come on, that's right.
Are you with me? Is anybody at all having any experiences like that? Like some things that you once were more comfortable doing with eating that all of a sudden you just don't want to quite do it anymore? I guess some heads are nodding out there. Good. That's what I'm talking about. It's just subtle. It shouldn't be a law that if you do it, you're wrong or you're right. It's just doing it because of nature is changing. The vibration of your nature is changing. And every time it changes, it attracts a different frequency into your life. Whether it's food or people or anything else, all of a sudden you start matching different frequencies of your environment that's there. Anyway. So Thaddeus carries forward the work of elimination or error of thoughts in the mind and the taste food from the body. The nerve center from which the eliminative function directs the emptying of the intestines is located in the deep of the lower bowels. I don't know if I have them, but I looked up this to see if it's in the Bible, and I found all these different verses about the bowels of mercy in the Bible. It literally uses this terminology of what is in the bowel. Now, you get into the bowel area, you're getting into your sacral chakra, right? Sacral chakra is reproductive. Your reproductive organs, cervical, prostate, all those kind of things are definitely affected in that particular level. The center is very sensitive to thoughts about substance of all materiality. A gripping mental hold on material things will cause constipation. A relaxation of the mind and loosening of the grip on material passions will bring about freedom in the lower action. Wow.
Where is that located, please? That's
12
Fillmore's.
powers. Yeah, I mean, we should just stay with this whole chapter. So I'm going to read it again. The center is very sensitive to thoughts about substance and all materiality. A gripping mental hold on material things will cause constipation. In other words, if your whole mentality is on manifesting something in the material realm, at some point that will stop the flow of life force energy with its creative ability to manifest. And you'll become mentally constipated or blocked. A relaxation of the mind, so we can use that as contemplation, meditation, relaxation, mindfulness, all these wonderful tools that are available to us. And a loosening, here's the heart, the loosening of the grip. What's in your grip? What can't you let go of that you're just determined? By golly, I'm going to stay with it until I see this thing accomplished and this thing done. That's big in Buddhism. It's called grasping in Buddhist teaching. You have to let go of the grasp of things that's in the material outer world of yourself. The prevailing ills of the abdominal region, constipation, tumors, and the like are caused by constriction of the whole body energy. These things just don't pop up for no reason. See, this is where adapting, there's a saying that what the ego blesses in the beginning betrays you in the end. And adaptation was a wonderful thing for survival, but now that we're going into thriving and evolving into these new human level of co-creative humans, we're going to have to realize that we are going to need this continuous circulation and flow of life energy. Okay? The faculty centering in the, so tumors and all of that is caused by constriction of the whole body energy. The faculty centering in the head are responsible for the slowing down of life forces, and I won't go into all that right now. Anyway. So, the location is in the lower bowel and the nerve system. And it's in the place where if we get it too blocked, we lose that innate gut feeling. How many times do you hear that? I felt it in my gut. I knew in my gut not to do that. There is some connection with this sacral with the sixth chakra of intuition. They need to be working together. What I'm intuiting and what I'm having in my gut feeling. Gut gives you a different feeling than your emotion. Be careful about emotions. Emotions can knock you out consciously. I would go with the gut. Because when you get a gut feeling, it's not a big emotional experience. It is more of the knowing, of the intuition of the third eye.
Absolutely.
When somebody gets it in their gut, they might say, oh, I see what you're saying. I got in my gut, oh, I see now what I should do. So keeping all these pathways open is very important. Okay. In the Aramaic, the word forgive means to untie or undo. And this is very interestingly corresponds to the teaching of A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles teaches the very same thing based on the word forgive. Forgive or atonement. Atonement. Since A Course in Miracles is, to me, one of the better, if not best, systems for correction of Christian thinking that's out there. It certainly was for me. I don't know if I'd have made it as far as I made it when I was in my shift out of just fundamental Bible teaching into more metaphysical, new thought, new age. I needed a bridge. And you got to understand, I downloaded all the scripture. I downloaded Jesus, the devil, sin, and all that Well, of Course in Miracles used that very language in my head, but rearranged it and corrected it into a new shift of a new way of seeing. Because I was not ready, to be honest with you, in the beginning. I didn't know what I thought about UFOs. I didn't know what I thought about other planets or other people on planets like that. That was a little much for me to make that leap.
Right.
Hmm?
Right.
I mean, there was a lot of stuff I was getting into, and I was hearing that going, oh my God, this is some pretty wild stuff. I don't know what I think about that. So I needed something to take the old and make it new. Hmm? Change, not get rid of the word sin, just tell me what it means. Who is this Jesus outside of my Christian religion teaching? And one of the words is a forgive and atonement. Forgive in A Course in Miracles, which again goes with the Aramaic, means to untie, undo, or let go. Lao Tzu, the great Eastern philosopher, says to attain knowledge, add things every day. To attain wisdom, remove things every day. So don't spend your whole day cramming and learning and learning and learning and learning. Put the book down and see what you need to let go of, because the book has given you a different way to see it, and you're going to choose a different way of seeing something. Take time to see what you need to let go of, not just what you keep gathering. Charles Fillmore says, as children outgrow their clothes, we outgrow our ideals and our ambitions, broadening our horizon of life as we advance. There must be a constant elimination of the old to keep pace with this growth. When we cling to the old ideas, we hinder or advance or stop it altogether. I think that's why people are not in the best mood. Have you ever noticed when people really get constipated?
Yes.
It's true. You're not in the best mood. It does not help you at all to go through that. And I feel people are overall stuck. People are just stuck. They don't want to learn something new. They don't really want to change. I think people want to talk about change. I think change is a great conversation that's on everybody's mind today, is we're changing. The world's changing. But actually going through the change is a different thing than talking about the change. And I found that out. I've been listening to a lot of my old teachings from 30 years ago. And I was teaching this stuff back then. And I was teaching it, but none of it was happening yet. There wasn't a lot of breakdown. I didn't have that in my immediate world. My world was not breaking down at all, but I sure talked about it, that things are going to change and things are going to break down and chaos. And I was just putting that out back in everything I said, but I wasn't experiencing any of that. My life was pretty set, pretty good, pretty predictable. But boy, has that changed. Now I've got to live it. Not just talk about it, but I'm living what I've been talking about for a long time. But I think a lot of us who are visionaries do that. Sometimes we are 10 to 30 years ahead of what is stabilizing itself as a norm to people. And please don't misunderstand me. I'm not patting my ego on the back and telling you that, but I was teaching a lot of things years ago that are now in the language. Now, I'm sure I wasn't the only one. I don't know about everybody else. I'm just telling you that I was teaching about DNA and telomeres and all kinds of things back in 1990. And now it's out there. So some of us had to get out there and pioneer the uncharted territory and start cutting a path for others to follow. Again, I'm not saying that's just me, because I know others have done it. You that read Goddard and you that read some of the old Alice Bailey and some of the old 150, 200-year-old fathers and mothers of metaphysical thinking, they paved the way for us. Now we got to pave the way for the next exodus of those that are getting ready to come out of the system. And that's what we're attempting to do here at HeartLight, is we're here to create a highway to wholeness. Some of you know that scripture, we've used it. There's a highway to holiness. No, there's a highway to your wholeness. But who's going to build the highway? Trailblazers, pioneers, visionaries, people who have learned to say no and be misunderstood by family, friends, society, and culture. Those who've been willing to pay the price to be different and to be challenged and be called all kinds of things. It's to you that are building the highway for the next exodus that is sure to come. So as children outgrow their clothes, we outgrow our ideals and ambitions. There must be a constant elimination of the old to keep pace with the growth. When we cling to the old ideas, we hinder our advance and stop it. So maybe we need daily elimination. Renunciation is letting go of old sensory perceptions. Psychologists study the body, metaphysicians study the mind. Today's physis brings both the science, the psychology, and the metaphysician together through quantum physics. Did you know at one time the word physical came from the word physis? That's Physics. Physis. From that word we get physics. And the word physis was coined back in the days of some of the old philosophers. And their word was the word that meant physical and spiritual, the same word. There was not two separate words for the physical and the spiritual. They just called it physis. So at one time, the word that we use for physical was one time used for spirit. And what have we learned? Everything is energy. They knew it. Whereas Plato, all those great philosophers of that time knew something then. They knew there was no separation between the body, mind, spirit. And knew that it was just all energy in different forms. So we've just returned after all those hundreds of years of early philosophers and visionaries. We're just now getting it. We're a little slow in 3D, people. We're a little slow. 3D's density. It is slow timing. It is slow moving through consciousness and space. But the more that you are getting in more of 5D beyond energy, the more it's speeding up. And what should be happening to you is you're getting it faster and quicker. You're having more aha moments. You're having more epiphanies. You're getting more clear. Things should be speeding up for you because your vibration has changed out of density and you've moved from ice to water. Go try to swim in the ice. It's much easier in the water. And when you raise that frequency up, you'll be in the steam, the ethereal, the spiritual, the higher self. Quantum physics tells us that they are both the same. They're all energy. Religion called it spirit. Metaphysicians are not always careful students. They jump to conclusions just as ancient physiologists made wild guesses about the character of body organs. In other words, people need energy diagnosing. My dream, my vision when I started Soul Energetics was to be able to integrate vibrational energy work into the medical profession. I did have that happen. A medical doctor in Columbus came to me and brought her entire staff to learn Soma Energetics. Her idea was, and my idea is, that when they put us in that little awful cold room where nowadays there's not even a magazine to read since COVID. Sometimes you can't use your phone and you got to sit there and wait for the doctor for God knows how long. Wouldn't it be nice to have somebody come in and start vibrationally, energetically opening your energy body for the doctor?
Yes.
That's a big vision, isn't it? But I'm going to hold on to it. That somebody opens up the energy for that doctor to come in. When that doctor walks in, they're going to energetically see you as an energy being before they start giving you medical diagnosing. It could happen. As more of the new earth comes in, the more the systems of the world are made the systems of the Christ. This could definitely be a system. I think it was a system in Atlantis.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think there's anything new under the sun.
That's right.
I don't believe in no new age. I just believe it's new to us. But I think this stuff is ancient. I do believe it's from other civilizations, other planets, other higher beings that have brought these techniques to the earth at one time, but was totally changed as we became so civilized. Yeah. So this is a part of what's called the restoration process of things that have been eliminated. Huh? What's been eliminated out of Native American? What has been eliminated out of African? What has been eliminated out of any other indigenous people? The Aborigines, the Aztecs, all those people that knew such phenomenal things has all been edited out. Eliminated. This is why I'm excited about your class coming up, Dolores. That I think this is a part of restoring us back to where we can get connected again to divine law and divine spirit principle. From that, we at HeartLight are going to start manifesting like crazy.
Absolutely.
We're going to open the gate. We'll tell you more about that as it comes up, but there are plans going on that can help us to become unconstipated here. And not stuck. We don't want to get stuck at all. Philippians 3:8 I picked up out of the, yea, doubtless, and I count all things but loss for the excellency of the gnosis knowledge of Christ, for whom I have suffered the loss, denial or renunciation of all things. I do count them but dung. This is in the Bible. I count them as dung and may be with Christ's consciousness. Well, I want to really shock you. If I can find it, that is. I'm going to try to shock you anyway, if I can. Are you ready for the mirror version? This is the Mirror Bible. Is it up there? In fact, I've come to the conclusion that every association which I had, which defined me before I was a devout Jew, this is Paul speaking, is far eclipsed by what I have gained in the knowing of the Christ as masterful redemption. Bringing back to remembrance who I truly am, define me now. Religion of man is like dog poo, and it stinks, avoid stepping in it. Interesting class, huh? Talking about the untalkable, the unmentionable. Feeling uncomfortable? Good. This is ridiculous. This is part of our living. This is a part of our life every day, is our elimination systems. Whether they're mental or physical. It's how things run smoothly.
As above, so below.
It creates space for the new to come in. Okay, I'm gonna get in trouble. I know I am. I'm totally a believer in colonics, and I'm not ashamed of it. Never have been. I've been taking colonics since 1978, and it was reading a book that death begins in the colon. Death begins in the colon. And after I read that book and saw what I saw in the book, I searched out people who do colonics. And I've continued to do that. Now stay with me. Stay in the higher. I'm going to talk lower, but you're going to stay higher. People who think they're eliminating everything are not eliminating everything. No human is. There is aspects of what needs to go through the system that gets into the crevices of the colon system and builds and builds and builds until it becomes a place for viruses and bacteria to get out of balance, and therefore we end up with colon cancer, we end up with all kinds of situations. If you, sorry, I'm not sorry, but I am sorry to make you so uncomfortable. But Fillmore started this. Let's blame it on him. So maybe coming to HeartLight could be like a spiritual colonic place where you come and let go and eliminate things that you're holding on to that needs to be cleansed and cleared, because I know you want the new to come in. I want you to know the voice that is speaking in our time to come through. I know that, but we've got to clean and clear ourselves off at many levels: emotional, mental, physical, spiritual. Every level has to go through a cleansing process of some kind. When that happens, then the innate intelligence in us knows how to work. We don't even have to work it. It works for itself as a natural part of ourselves. So I'm just not ashamed that that's something I do, because I'm not letting things accumulate. Now take it to the spiritual. You don't want a lot of old misinformation that you think you got rid of because you talk real smart. See? Intellectually, you sound really good. I know I can. Just get me in a conversation. You go, well, that guy knows a lot of stuff. Well, he knows a lot of stuff. But that doesn't mean that I'm cleaned out of the other stuff that I first thought it was before I came to the new one. I've got stuff that has hidden itself in the deep subconscious part of me that I thought I got rid of when I changed a thought to a different thought. But I didn't get rid of the cause of the thought. And I feel right now there's a collective cleansing going on in spite of us. I don't think you have to do just a personal cleansing. I've done the master cleanse. How many here has done the master cleanse? I'm sure you have. We've done the master cleanse. We've done all of it. I'm talking about something bigger than that. So, well, my time's up. Where'd it go? Well, I hope I haven't made you feel too uncomfortable.
Not at all.
But somebody's got to talk about this stuff. And I guess I don't, maybe I'm just getting old. I don't know. I don't care anymore what people think.
We see the parallel. We see the parallel.
Thank you. Thank you. First is the natural, then the spiritual. And our bodies are, it's our talk. You ever heard of body talk?
Yes.
There's such a thing as body talk out there. In Soma Energetics, we did body mapping. We learned why and where we had different illnesses and pains and why we had them and what they represent. And that's what Fillmore is totally teaching in here, that every disease and everything is because of what's gotten stuck in the system. That finally says, I wish I could find it, finally says, the overflow of the will center causes enlarged flamed in tonsils, sinus trouble, and other ills of the head, while the abdominal region suffers with constipation and general lack of vital action. Some persons relax in sleep and thus give the body an opportunity to recoup and deplete energy. But if the eager pace is kept up night and day, the end is nervous procrastination. Let me close with this. The divine law has been provided for man that will meet every need when it is observed. Seek ye first his kingdom, and his righteousness, and all things shall be added unto you. So we find that relaxation of the tense abdomen depends on relaxation of the tense will. Give up your willfulness and ask that the divine will be done in you and in all your affairs. Jesus set aside his will that God's will might be done when he said, not my will, but thy will be done. And I had 5 ways for you to master letting go, but we did not get to it. So I will see if I can make copies and give them to you next Wednesday on that. All right, let's open up. Interesting discussion. I'm waiting. I'm dying to hear what you're going to say. What did you get out of this?
A lot.
Jackie.
I just want to share something that happened yesterday at my house. We have house guests. Marcia's sister and brother-in-law, they're still at my house. And he likes to talk a lot, and he started talking about getting rid of gas and using electric, and he's totally against that, and blah, blah, blah. And he went on for maybe 30 minutes about why that's wrong, that we should be getting rid of gas and blah, blah, blah. And I said to him, when I think about it, when they got rid, they brought in automobiles to replace the horse and buggy. I said, people probably complained about that too. And I said, one thing about it, once you raise your frequency, your energy, and you reach the 5th dimension, you won't need a car at all. You won't need to eat at all. And he's just looking.
Wow. Well, that's true. That is true. That is true.
Shut it down.
He didn't say anything
Mic drop.
else.
In the fifth dimension, your vehicle will be your Merkaba, or light body. You can travel anywhere in the universes through your Merkaba, which is your light suit body. We've talked about that a little bit here in the past. Glad to do it again. But you need to understand this is your space suit, will be of light, and that'll be your vehicle. You will not you will not be subject any longer to time and space as we know it, so there's no here and there. You become omnipresent everywhere. It's just like you say God is. God is omnipresent. Well, you say you're a God or divine being. So that means in you is an omnipresent self that is everywhere at the same time. All you have to do is focus your consciousness to it, and then you experience it. But it has nothing to do with time and space. It all has to do with the focus of consciousness. That's what people are seeking who take drugs. That's why people get hooked on drugs, especially psychedelic type things, because they go out there and they travel around in the universe and they're not any limitations, and they want to experience that because it's innately within us to experience that as we become the new creation or the new human. But we're trying to sneak in the back door in the wrong way with it. Yes.
I would like to comment on this elimination aspect, but what has been brought back to my remembrance is an incident that happened with me 20-some years ago, I guess. And I was in a Pentecostal church, David, and what they were preaching about was to have no other God before me, no idols or anything like that. My experience was when I went home and I woke up the next morning, I went in the kitchen to make myself my cup of tea in my cup, and it was dirty. Somebody had used it and not washed it, and therefore I couldn't use it. And I became so angry. That same chakra area that you were talking about of elimination, right? And what I heard was, this is an idol.
Say it again.
This is an idol.
Oh, this is not.
The cup.
The cup.
And I had to eliminate that whole way of thinking
Good.
about that. I haven't overcome my anger and rage stuff all the way, but that really took me a long way. And when you were talking about this elimination in that area, which sometimes can be very slow with me, but I really think that we're talking about not just the physical, but the emotions that we're holding on to in those things. And it was a different scripture that they were talking about, but for me, it had the same effect of what you're talking about here, about elimination.
Yeah.
And I applaud you for bringing all of this to us. I don't think it's not too much for me. I'll just answer
Thank
for
you.
myself. It's not too much for me. It's showing me the steps ahead. So
Good.
thank you. I appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Appreciate that. Anybody else?
I just think it's poignant because it draws that correlation with things that are actually taught in scripture and things like that about really presence of mind and things that happen here. So when you on that topic, I mean, it makes perfect sense. And then the examples you gave, I'm like, that does kind of happen like that when you think about it. So yeah, that was good, man. It was good.
Thank you. Well, I want you to receive it in your higher sense of self. I just think sometimes we neglect to talk about certain things because of some kind of culture or social stigma that's on it. And I think if you're really a spiritual community, you should be able to talk about anything into everything. And, you know, I mean, you get into that sacral, you know, that's sexuality, that's just stuff that's been so swept under the rug that nobody really wants to talk about. And I think this is the best place to talk about it, is with your spiritual people that you feel safe with to do that. Anybody else? All right, I need to talk to you before, if you want to prepare for your offering, I would appreciate your support, if you want to do that. I will not be able to be here next Wednesday, and it's just a minor, no big deal, minor thing. I should be fine by next Sunday. And I wanted to know what you would like to do. I left a message for Jackie yesterday. Yeah, you.
I get a message from you.
I did. I was asking about the fourth ray, actually. That's what I was calling you about.
That was you?
That's me. That was me.
You didn't say it was you. It said something about Ray David. And I've been asking Marsha, who is Ray David? And maybe it was somebody in my class. I didn't know that was you.
Sorry. Okay, that was me. It was me. Ray David. That's my new name. Call me Ray. I thought I had it covered, and something's come up to change that. So I'm more than glad for Jackie or Sandra, one of you two, to step up if you want to teach. Or the other option is, I've been wanting you to see a video of, tell me his name, Michael. Michael Regret, who is the minister in Sedona, who's fantastic. But he has a teaching on the spirit language that is so different. I mean, it's nothing to do with tongues and all that, but I thought it'd be an easier way to prepare you for my workshop. So I'm more than glad to do that if you'd like to just have a video and listen to him. He's worth it. Has an amazing, he used to be Unity kicked him out, which really is almost a compliment, I'm sorry, but that means he outgrew. That means he just outgrew it, and he does. He's way beyond all of that, but he has a wonderful group in Sedona and is well followed all over the world. So would that be something you might be interested in?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just do that then. We'll just play that. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming today, and I hope some of our travelers get back soon. We have a lot of people traveling this summer, so we pray for their protection in all of that. Thank you very much.